One of the unspoken benefits about living in the countryside, something that you cannot do in any of Britain's cities, I've just explained, can we? So this is a delivery. So you see, this is a small delivery that's designed for a burger place, well, more importantly, a sandwich kind of breakfast place, where the sandwich delivery person brings his truck, sets it up, and I'll flip it and see where he sets up his truck, and that's the supplies that he uses on a daily basis. Now in the countryside, that can be delivered and no one will touch it. No one will touch it whatsoever. You do that in a city, any of Britain's cities, I don't give a fuck if it's the smallest of Britain's cities, that'll be stolen. And that's the nature of living in the countryside. Like 90% of the crime. This is why I encourage many of you Muslims to move out of these big cities, because you have not experienced Britain until you actually live in the countryside. Move your families out of the cities. I'm deadly serious. Deadly serious. Because that's the level of normality that goes on out here in the countryside, where it isn't rampantly waiting for crime. You see, here I am with my motorbike, waiting to get something to eat. He'll turn up in about 10 minutes and set up. But that's the situation we're in. I'm out for a ride. Decided I wanted to hit the road for a little bit, get an idea of much of the beauty of the countryside. One of the key reasons I live out here is the stunning beauty, the majesty of nature in upon itself. And this is just, a quick video to show you all the difference. Now, yeah, we still have crime. I think it's unfair to say that we don't. We do have crime. There is criminal elements still in the countryside, but it's nowhere near the level of proliferation that, like I said, you can leave a stockpile of food to the side for a sandwich making bar that hasn't even arrived yet, won't even arrive till 8 AM, and no one will touch it. And that's profound when you realise, even in these difficult times when money's hard to come by, when people are hungry, when bills are skyrocketing, where the government is fucking useless, etc., you need to realise that the level of crime in inner cities is because people think they can continuously get away with it. Where in the countryside, once you're settled, everyone knows you, everyone knows your kids, everyone knows where your family's from. And it's that connectiveness in the countryside that the rest of the country doesn't have. It's knowing your local communities. It's knowing without certainty that you can make deliveries like that. And there probably are examples in the city where that's normal. The crack of dawn deliveries are left by the shops. But the chance of theft is so much greater inside of the City of London than it is in the countryside, or any of the big cities. Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, especially Liverpool. Liverpool's a shithole. It's not bigger a shithole than my home city of London, but it's a shithole. And I exasperate the virtues of living out here in this. And no, you won't be as wealthy unless you become successful, really successful at whatever you're doing, like me trying to be an honest and real, as bare bones as I can be, YouTuber. And I think that's one of those things, trying to turn this into a living is actually a lot fucking harder than people realise. But yeah, I'm waffling, my apologies. I'll probably cut this out. I might not actually, it might show a more realistic point of view of me. And the food guy has arrived. So that's me done. Mashallah. So there's clearly a reason why I'm concluding to all of this. History teaches us that when civilizations go into decline, the weakest parts of society suffer. Now, it's no illusions. These are no known factors in society. It was the Irish during the 1900s. The Jewish communities have been attacked in multiple stages, and we know the West's desire and rhetoric to attack the Muslim community. So this is why I'm advising you, whilst we are in the slow decline, and it is a decline, be under no illusions about this British Islam, we are in a slow decline. This is the fall of British establishment. We are currently in 7th. We're going to drop to 8th. This isn't a prediction. This is a reality. Britain's industry is in the full scale slow. The service industry is in collapse. European migrants are abandoning Britain in their droves. The labour shortages are enormous. Our society is in contraction. And when that happens, people, wrong or right, attack anybody who's different. And this is why I suggest moving into the countryside, because the countrysides have always proven to be incredibly resistant to these both massive problems and attacks on community. Because if these communities learn that you're hardworking, I mean, I've lived in quite a few villages, towns and communities around the countrysides, especially here in the Cotswolds and further afield, Lincolnshire, Cumbria, Cornwall. These areas have a very profound Bournemouth, profound Norfolk, profound social engineering structure. But once the people know you're good people, they will protect you. You can't say the same in the cities. You can't even, I would dare to say, you in this current climate, social climate, you'd be hard pressed to see your Muslim neighbours stand up for you. Now that's brutal. That's fucking brutal. I was in conversation with a couple of friends from Birmingham who have told me very clearly they're not so comfortable with the idea of relying on their neighbours if things went south, because so many people are too busy looking inwardly. And this is why I contrarily say to the British young Muslims, if you can afford it, if you can do it, pack your bags, take your young wife and your babbies and get the fuck into the countryside rather than flee the country. I mean, realistically, that's not going to happen in mine or your lifetime, I don't think. I know I have sometimes a fatalistic way of looking at life, but let us be fair. Our best option is to be surrounded by like-minded, socially conservative people, and they are ultimately in the countryside. And they're the people who will shield and aid and benefit you. And I mean this when I say get out while you can. Get out of those cities, because they do not benefit anybody but the corporate elite. They don't benefit the Muslims. We can build masjids anywhere. We really can. The Muslim community is where we feel safe. And I don't feel the Muslim community is going to be safe in those big cities. The more and more the EDL climbs in those urban shitholes that they recruit the white supremacists from, the more and more fractured our young Muslim boys are with all the distractions that the city gives them, and the drugs and the gory girls. And everyone laughs when I mention this, but it is true. Much of these corruptions, much of these problems, much of these social engineering mistakes exist because we refuse to address the situation. Inner cities are vile. They are not a way to raise children or to live a life. The Muslim community needs to migrate out of Britain's cities and insulate themselves with good, noble countryside communities. And I find that my religion and my belief have never really bothered any of the people I'm around. And I'm not on about just intellectuals, I'm about just farmers, pretty salt of the earth people. People who have never had a problem with me or anything I do. I think it's a profound realisation that society requires us to propel ourselves forward. So whilst we are securing the safety of our people because of the incompetence of the psychotic Brexit small man syndrome Tory party, but let's be fair, they're absolutely, and Keir Starmer's no different. Him and his party are already trying to follow in suit, to copycat everything the Tories are doing, so they remain revenant. Grow a backbone and stand up for your morality. How does that sound, Mr. Stemmer? There's a piece of fucking campaign advice. But I stand by my musings. The British Muslim community would be stronger, safer, and more integrated in Britain if it moved into the countryside. You know, seriously, families just spread out, build mosques, stay away from the inner city garbage. Your quality of life, the quality of your family, and your peace of mind will absolutely go up. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.